All right, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Izzy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right. Now, yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right. This is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right. So PSA, Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations, has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right. And at that, a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right. Homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA the Ghostwriter Solution can do it. So go over to PSAthepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. Hey yo, we're back. It's another episode. Um, One that I'm pretty excited about. I think that it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited to see y'all. My bad. I'm trying to see if something was shaking, or maybe it was just me tripping. Maybe not. I gotta keep my shades on. It's just the warmth, I guess, from the yeah, my bad, my bad. I guess it's just the warmth from the um the ring light, and then me just trying to make sure I'm not tripping. But either way, solo episode. Now, the last time you seen a solo episode from me was the first episode of the season, and now we're on episode 8. Now, some of y'all probably wonder where's the studio. Wait for you to get back in the studio. I'm getting back in the studio much sooner than later. And also, I'm on my Jonathan Dubatant today. And for those that don't know, that is the owner and the podcast host, Rich and Unemployed, and aka Finesse. And you know, I'm on his stuff today. He wearing shades in the studio. And anybody know I'm like a glasses person, as far as whether it's shades or just like, different types of like frames. And now I'm testing out in the studio. So this is the first time I'm doing that. I think I did it one time in another season, but it wasn't looking right. But this looked decent. So, I got an OG belligerent shirt on today because it is a belligerent boy summer. For those that don't know, what you should know, because I'm always talking about, this is my last day of work today, and summer starts. And I'm finna go have me some fun. Summertime. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I have a bunch of fun? It's time. So like, look, we having us. They had hot girl summer for all them years. So this time we are doing a belligerent boy summer. So say it with me, all right? Belligerent. Belligerent. We having that. I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. All right, so today's episode is one that I've been led to do. And this is one of the ones I could only do by myself. I didn't see a guest for this one. I didn't see one at all. So let's just go ahead and jump right into today's meme. Now, this one is going to be interesting because it's going to step on some toes a little bit, I feel like, but it needs to be said. So the meme reads, "You'll never truly prosper like you could if you need mommy and daddy to greenlight your plans." Inspiration for this week's episode comes from John Legend's infamous song Greenlight. I'm ready to go right now for those that don't know. I mean, you should know, but in case you didn't, so there's that. A quote by Dr. Carolyn M. Ball, which states, "Seeking constant validation from parents can contribute to feelings of inadequacy, even depression in young adults." That's what this podcast is for, us young adults. And then the relationship between parents and their adult children is often characterized by ambivalence. I can't get that word out today, but you know the one I'm talking about. Can't speak, which can hinder adult children's ability to achieve independence and self-validation. This is by Dr. Kira Burdett at the Journal of Marriage and Family. And also, iCarly, my girl Jennette McCurdy, the one who plays Sam, she had a book. She has a book. It's called "I'm Glad My Mom Died," and I did not read it. I've heard good things about it. It's something I really want to read for myself. I've heard book reviews and I've heard her speak on it as far as in interviews, but I want to read it for myself because it's an interesting title and it's something I definitely would like to check out. And I'm gonna give my take on what I've heard thus far as we go on today. Now, since I'm by myself, you know what that means? It's time for a story time. And this story time is titled The Jericho That Almost Did. Jericho was a natural born artist living in a world that was scripted by her successful parents. They were practical individuals fearing the unpredictable life of an artist and thus nudged Jericho into medical school. Eager to please, Jericho swapped paintbrushes for textbooks for her vibrant dreams and traded her vibrant dreams fading into the grayscale. One day during anatomy class, she found herself sketching a human heart with an artist's flair rather than a clinical precision. It was a wake-up call for her. She realized she yearned to touch hearts through art, not medicine. Facing her parents was tough. Their fear and disappointment came about, but Jericho stood firm, expressing her true calling for art and not medicine. Over time, her parents saw the light in her eyes reignite, understanding their fear was obstructing Jericho's true path to happiness. Eventually, they came to support her as an artist. Jericho's journey was not smooth, but it was authentic, full of color and a personal expression. Her story teaches us that parental fear, even when born out of love, can inadvertently hinder one's path to genuine success. All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, this is a story I found. So this is not one I wrote, but it's great and it still gets the job done, right? Right. All right, so now let's move into the lessons from the story. So, real quick, your parents can hinder their success or hinder your true success due to their fear. We see that a lot, especially for those who, some of us who parents are a little older. You know, my parents are 30-year age gaps. So, we two totally different generations and like deep in totally and deep in different generations. So it's not like it's like, oh, where some people, and not trying to be shady, some people parents had them at 13, 14, and you only a few years of a generation apart. And in some cases, y'all might even be the same generation. That's possible because I think the oldest millennial is now 40 or 41 and the youngest millennial is 27. So you could have a child, you could be a 40-year-old parent at 27, y'all could be in the same. Granted, it would still be a difference because an older millennial and a younger millennial is different, but still that could be the same thing. Somebody like that. And sometimes we try hard to please our parents so hard that it can become toxic, and I'm gonna get into that a little later as well. Okay, so let's move into the greatest segment ever, happy hour. All right, so now for today's happy hour, I got a few things I want to talk about and some things that I kind of want to reminisce on. Okay, so now first off, I saw a few weeks ago that it was a dude and he won the lottery and he had a screen mask on as he was getting it. I don't know if that was fake. I don't know, but I'm going to say this. If that was me, I'd do the same thing. Here's why. If I won a lottery, it would be subtle things that I'd buy. Like, I may get into a new house, may get a new car, and of course, a few little clothes-wise stuff, but it would just be like, oh, you came into some money. People will say, oh, that's your podcast money kicking in. Oh, that's your, writing service, PSA, the Ghostwriting Solution, kicking in. Grant writing, resumes, cover letters, book descriptions, book bios, artist bios, websites, you name it. But I mean, maybe, right? But in the same breath, I would say I would play along and like do I remember one time at one of my jobs, I remember one of I had took off to go out of town. But my principal, she didn't know why I took off, but I was off. So she came in the room and she seen me and she kind of backed away. She said, "You sick? You sick?" And I just did like this. So I didn't lie, but she thought I was sick, and I just kind of let her go along with it. So it's kind of like that. Like if you ask me a question, I'm just gonna smile like I don't speak English. Like I know here, people don't be speaking English, and you be talking to them, and they just smile and grin like they know what you're saying, but you don't. They really don't. That's how I do. That's how I do. I think of the Bruno Mars song, "I wanna be a billionaire so bad." If I did, you wouldn't know. Because I already act rich now. So why would I tell you? You feel me? All right. Second thing I want to talk about. My whole life, people have always, I got to add this little light stuff because I think this episode might get a little dark, and I might get a little emotions might flare up a little bit. Not just for me, just for stuff that irks me. So I gotta kind of soften the blow. Now, um, my entire life, people have always liked to come to me and just talk to me about stuff, whether it was them telling me their business, whatever. And I'm the type where I'm like, I'm gonna listen to you. I don't mind that. I'll listen to what you got to say. And so I was at the gym, minding my business. Dude walks up to me, kind of chubby dude, um, and he looked mixed, and it was like one of those one of the biracial people, who they be mixed, but you could tell one side is stronger. Like, it's funny, it's just crazy how like genes work. Because sometimes with like biracial people, they look mixed, and then some one look made. If they black and white, one looks more black than anything, and you wouldn't even know they had a white parent, and another one, you could tell that guy got black features, but they look white. That was him. And so he came up to me, and he sounded like a regular Houston dude. He was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm over there in the sauna, and everybody just staring at me." I said, "They staring at you? Just walk." I don't know this man from Adam. Walks up to me and says that. He said, "Yeah, everybody just staring at me, bro. They just staring at me." I said, "Oh, for real?" He said, "Yeah." And then I said, "Oh, that's crazy." The typical like, "Oh, that's crazy." So then he keeps going. He paused for me to come back. And he's like, "Yeah, bro, I'm in there singing." So I said, "Oh, you in there singing?" He said, "Yeah, bro, I'm just singing." I said, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "You told on yourself." I'm like, "You doing something. Ain't nobody just staring at you like that." I have had experiences where people just stare at me. And I remember once I walked in this event, everybody was just like this. And then I was just like, and I had said it out loud. I tried to whisper it out, and as people start laughing, I said, "Damn, Tupac, all eyes on me." And then they was just staring. I'm like, "Dang." So anyway, they staring. The dude said they was in there singing. I said, "Oh, they waiting on you." I told him, I said, "Watch this." I said, "Man, you in there singing? They waiting on the mixtape. You playing?" He talking about some. You feel me? I like helping people with their delusion, because I be having delusional moments. So I like blessing the people. The third thing I want to talk about in this here happy hour segment, I want to talk about. I had a reminisced on this a little while ago. My mind just randomly think about stuff from when I was younger, and I remember in 2007, um, back when I had the OG Xbox, that Fossil, and I was playing. I think the game was Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and it was when they put all the Marvel characters in the game, and you go do missions, and it was like everybody interacting from the X-Men to Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, you name it, they was probably on the game. So it was this mission where we had your team. It's a team of 4, and you could do multiplayer, and then or you could just do play by yourself and switch between characters, which I did frequently. And long story short, it was this mission, and in the end of the mission, or the mission was to save Nightcrawler and Jean Grey. It's a story, so just stick with me. And so I had to save them, and it got to the point where got to save them, and they were in these cages, and they set it up to where they said you can either save one or the other, and you can get a chance to kind of let them hear their last little plea. And so I went over to Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler was giving his stance, and he said, "Let her live. She deserves to live." Woo, woo, woo. So then I go over to Jean Grey, let her plead her case on why she deserves to be in my world. And she says, "Let me live. I'm Jean Grey. I'm the Phoenix. I got all these powers." So I did with anybody, after taking in both of their, taking in both of what they had to say, I had to go ahead and let Miss Phoenix go, because I just felt like you selfish. How you gonna sit here and plead that I deserve to live? This man gave us a whole little speech. Now, of course, it wasn't a speech you could read it on the text box, but he gave a whole speech of why she deserved living, and she said, "Let me live. You about to die." And then they was over like some lava and stuff, so she had to go. And if you the Phoenix, like you say, then clearly you should rise from the ashes, right? This is what you do. You the Phoenix. You rise from the fire. Now, that's a crab in the bucket mentality. And just to show y'all that people will do anything to save themselves. And you need to watch people like that, because you're probably hanging with somebody like that, but you ignore the signs. So they and the X-Men together. You know how long they live in the same house? They done missions together for years. He didn't know she was going to do that, but she did it. I know what you think it is a video game, but you know what? if you really pay attention to video games and TV shows, trying to tell y'all life lessons. Real great writers. That's what they do. All right. Now, because I'm by myself, and y'all, I actually forgot to do this on the very first episode. Questions that need addressing. Now, this is the first time I've done this entire season because I forgot to do it the first episode. I hold myself accountable, but yet here we are. So now with this topic of the parent thing, so the first question I have is, what is the cutoff age for a person relying on their parents' validation? I say, and again, it's good ways to take in not accountability, but take in, validation, or take in, what your parents have to say. Not saying you cut off that off completely as far as that, but as far as living a life validated by them, I say as soon as you move out, whether that's really before then, but see, I can't relate because I technically moved out at 18 because when I went to college, I never moved back in. I never went and moved back home. The most I did was stay at my mom and them house for breaks and stuff, but I never moved back in. So my story is a little different, but I say, whenever you officially out the house, whether it's 18, 21, 31, now even at 31, because at that point, they may not verbally say it, but I just feel like a parent still gonna feel like I have control of what you're doing, even if you're 31 in my house. That's just me. I don't know. I could be wrong, and we can debate that. All right, the second question. Why can't parents hold water? I done told my mom about 20 times she can't hold no water. She thinks she can. It was a meme floating around, and it was this, it says, and it was a Hispanic lady, and she was standing in front of a news crew, and she had a mic, and it said, me the next, after I just told my mama not to tell nobody, and she says, I won't. That's how mamas do. Why all my mamas are repeating stuff? And I get they be excited, but they certain things just can't repeat. So I can't tell you nothing else. Can't tell them nothing. Gotta love them, can't tell them nothing. The third one, I actually did have you ever dealt with parental pressure, parent pressure? Absolutely. Season 4 I had a part 1 and part 2 for parent pressure, and it was great. The second one, I think, episode featured Jay Barnett. Shout out to him. And we talked about the different types of parent pressure. Well, one episode was by myself, and then, but yeah, I talked about the different parent pressures. So actually, absolutely, absolutely. And again, as we always know, we're going to get into that as we go along. My bad, I keep hitting the table. And then the final question. This is stupid, but I got another story. So it says, have you ever told a mama joke and the mama was deceased? So I'm going to tell it from my angle, and I'm going to tell it from somebody else's angle. So I remember saying, telling somebody that one time I had the first thing, you just talking, somebody getting your nerves, you say your mama. And this happened to me. I said it to one of the students, and I was like, your mama. They was like, my mom's passed away. And I was like, my bad. What do you say after that? Like, you just like, what do you do? I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry that I said that. And then I forgot what I said afterwards, but it was just kind of an awkwardness. Now, mama, forgive me from what I'm about to say, because I remember in 6th grade, kids was being kids, and then there was some, nigga children. And hold on. And one of the dudes had flipped over the chair. No, I ain't gotta say mama forgive me. I can say auntie forgive me for this one. And so the dude had flipped over a chair, and he started humping it, and he was like, this your auntie. And y'all, I had the straightest face. I said, my auntie dead. And I said it with the straightest face. And then the dude said, well, this a corpse. I started laughing. That was funny. I have a very morbid sense of humor, but that was funny. That was hella funny. I was like, bro. But yeah, I ain't want to wish death on nobody, but I was 11, so it's like, give me a pass. But that was funny. That was. All right, y'all. The definitions for today, I have the first one, which is prosper, make successful. Second definition of validation, recognition or affirmation that a person or their feelings or opinions are valid or worthwhile. And then Greenlight, giving permission to proceed. All right. And I got those from dictionary.com. Okay, again, I don't have no guests, so we just jumping right on into what does this have to do with mental health? All right, so first and foremost, in some cases, in just the conversation here, Your parents, they can be your biggest fans. Okay. They can also be your biggest like critics. It's really a duality. It's the best, the best of both worlds. Okay. So let's jump around and talk about that. So, you know, with the duality, this can also present challenges. And this can be overzealous, like criticism, which might then lead to feelings of inadequacy, self doubt, or an unhealthy desire of perfection. And I'm going to get into that even more as we get along, too. And then on the other hand, excessive praise can create a fear of failure. Then you can get complacent or an inflated sense of self worth. I know a lot of people where I can tell that their parents hyped them up their whole life. And some people may say, what's wrong with that? It's a lot wrong with that, because if people always saying good things about you and always praising you, when somebody comes in and gives you a critique or say something ain't right, you take it as they hating, and it's like, I'll give you that real, but they can't receive it. They can't receive it. And have you met people like that where it's just like, those people where it's like they can't do, it's nothing they can't do, where it's like, oh, I can play basketball, oh, I can play football, oh, I can jump rope real good, oh, I can sing, oh, I can dance, oh, I can. You can tell their parents hype them up their whole life and be like, my baby can do this, da, da, da. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's to an extent where it's overwhelming. And now again, when someone challenges them, they can't handle it. So now let's get to the different, ways in which this aligns with mental health. So, parental expectation in mental health. A study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology found that adolescents with high parental expectations had increased rates of depression and anxiety. And with that being said, I think that sometimes parents put too much pressure on their kid and don't realize it. And then it says this suggests that constantly seeking parental validation might contribute to mental health issues. The second one says parental control and emotional distress. Research published in the Journal of the Youth Adolescents indicates that high levels of parental control are linked to increased emotional distress in young adults. By continually seeking parental approval, young individuals may inadvertently invite excessive control, leading to emotional distress. So, like, some parents unintentionally, some on purpose, like Jennette McCurdy's mom, they can be manipulative. And, they grew up in an era where it was like Mother May I, or, oh, my mama said I can't do this. And it's like, hey, oh, my daddy said I can't do this. And they listen to their parents like blindly. Now, the Bible says you honor your parents. You don't always have to listen. And I'll get more in depth on that later. But I think that the issue at hand is I think sometimes that's why some people, I feel like, hold grudges with their parents for so long, because as a kid, you grow up, you see your parents as like Mr. and Miss can't do no wrong. So you see them almost like superheroes. And some people never get away from that childish view of their parents. So now, if the parent is always telling them something, they think, well, my daddy or my mom always right. And then at the same time, you flip that again with the duality word. If the parent, has done all these things wrong and you look at them like this superhero and they messed up, it makes it hard for you to forgive them, when in reality, they just people. So with them being just people, I do you like I do everybody else. I look at your right and wrong record. I don't care who you are. I look at your right and wrong record. If you're wrong most of the time, it's going to be hard for me to listen to you. If you're right most of the time, I'm probably going to listen to you more often. But so, because that's just people. That's how I do my friends and people that I know. Like, I don't listen. I tell people, I don't listen to you. You be wrong. I tell people all the time, one of my friends, like, you're a terrible judge of character. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. They tell me, oh, but that's all say cool. They cool. I don't listen to you. I think about somebody had a conversation with somebody and it was like, yeah, this person always saying somebody good people. Oh, they're good people. What does that mean? You could be talking about the devil himself. I'm like, good people. There's good people. Deception is at an all-time high. This leads to the next one. Generational differences. A blog post on Psychology Today points out that generational differences can impact the way millennials and their parents perceive decisions. This can lead to miscommunication and misunderstandings when seeking validation. Potentially, This could then cause conflict and dissatisfaction. I can't talk today, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's talk about it. Again, I said it. My parents are 30 years older than me. You know, some people can have that luxury of their parents and be like, oh, my mama, my best friend, my daddy, my best friend. I ain't having a 30-year older than me best friend. That sounds crazy to me. To me. To me. Because I feel like, again, if we even just talking about it, right? Some people parents had them. If you had a child anywhere between 12, gotta be real here, 12 and 20, you might could say your parent is your best friend. I can't say that as your 30-year age gap because I ain't even 30 yet. And so I know when that just don't sound right to me. And not saying that some people, because we just got two different logics. And that's okay. It's a blessing and a curse in some cases. But you know, it just I don't see it. But some of my people, my friends, they have their parents only 15 years older than them. You know, y'all grew up together. So I just, something to think about. Even with that, like with the age gap, I was thinking about one of somebody in my family suggested that for years I go back to school. And it was several people at one point like, well, you just get ready to go back to school and, get your stuff and go back to school. And I'm like, you paying for it? Then you ask them that, they start mumbling and stumbling over their words. I think about the end of the Missy Elliott song. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that. And I just be like, yeah, y'all, nah. Y'all tripping. Speaking in gibberish and stuff, some more stuff. Out of control elders, out of control teens. All right. Let's move to the next one. It says parental approval and perfectionism. It's studying the Journal of Counseling and Psychology found that individuals who seek high levels of parental approval often struggle with perfectionism. Perfectionism has been linked to a variety of mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. Again, I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it again. Perfectionism doesn't exist. This has hindered people from walking into their calling. This has hindered people from putting out content. This has hindered people from going for certain jobs because they don't feel like it's the perfect time. There's never a perfect time. Some parents beat or threaten to beat their child for perfect grades, looks, etc. That's why some kids are perfectionists and they was like, oh, I got to get everything right because their parents used to beat the hell out of them for their grades and all that kind of stuff. You never know. You never know. The sixth one is overemphasis on external validation. An article on Forbes.com highlights the dangers of prioritizing external validation over internal validation. Then says, by seeking constant approval from parents, young people may struggle to develop a strong sense of self-worth and self-esteem. And then it says limiting personal growth. And this one I really like. It says that Postal Psychology Today argues that seeking parental validation can limit personal growth by discouraging risk-taking and exploration. By always relying on their parents' opinions, young people can miss out on opportunities for growth and self-discovery. All right. You know what's hurtful and kind of annoying? The silent. Not the silent treatment, but the silent just. Let me explain. You ever tell somebody something? It hurts when anybody does it, but you get frustrated outside. I mean, it's like whatever, right? Interchangeable. But when you tell a person something, a parent something, an elder something, and you excited about it and they get quiet. Tell them things you want to do. Tell them things you find interesting. They just kind of like. In some cases, parents or legal guardians can be doubt in human form. And that can be irritating. Because if you didn't grow up and accept, because that's the main thing. And I think Kiki Palmer said it best. She was like, as you get older, you learn your parents are still just people. So yeah, that's your parent. Yeah, you come from them and all that, but at the end of the day, still just people. So you have to, just accept like, hey, look, they can't see it. And then here's the thing, watch this. So when dealing with that, right? I think about a few things. We go back to the whole showing honor to your parents. This means to show respect and empathy. This isn't blind obedience or enduring abuse. And when I think about abuse, I instantly think about Jennette McCurdy, again, as I brought up earlier from my Carly. Now, again, she has a book. She has a very morbid and dark sense of humor, my favorite. And she has a book called I'm Glad My Mom Died. So when you hear that title, you're like, huh? In the story, she, from what I've seen, I haven't read it myself going off the reviews and the things she said in the interview, which I think it'll be a good read. I think it would. It might be a tearjerker for some. She makes a comment basically talking about her mom. And basically it was about, they said the book is in three parts: her childhood, the iCarly days, and then post iCarly. So in the story, in the book, basically she talks about recounting like her traumas and things, her eating disorder, and a lot of that stuff was because her mama used to make her stay super thin. Her mama used to do wild, crazy stuff that you think you would never hear nobody do. She used to make her and her brothers take showers together up until she was like 12 or 13. And her mama was a narcissist. And when she was 12 and 13, her brother was like 16, and they would be making them take showers together. She sent her a message talking about, she ain't doing nothing for them. She was just like, she was off. And she said she would even seek validation. She said even when her mom was dying from cancer, she was even like trying to tell her like, hey mom, guess what? I reached my goal weight. And she said she thought in her mind that was going to like wake her mama up or something, because she had been tricked into believing that she was all these things and all the stuff her mama was doing, and giving her genital exams and like touching her private, saying that she had to examine her, and just all types of crazy wild stuff. And she dealt with a lot of trauma, and although it's terrible, and she said still feels like I love my mama despite all of that and all the trauma she put me through, but just how she did so much to try to seek that validation from her mama, even though her mama was doing all these horrible things, so she still just wanted the love of her mama, and she just wanted her mom to, she just wanted that, and she just wanted that, and it's just so sad to see people will crave that validation from these, hate to say it, but horrible people. And it just goes to show you a title don't stop nothing. Just because, and again, what we've been saying the whole episode, they just people. So yeah, that's your mama. She's a terrible person. You know what I'm saying? You love her, but you can't. Not saying mine is, but I'm saying in that case, that lady's a terrible person. And it's just crazy. And my final thought on that is, because I am gonna read it. I do really want to read it. But my final thought on that is, honestly, for right now, I'll probably be more once I read the book. You can't pick your parents. And honestly, if you see these horrible traits in your parents, right? You say some traits you just can't deal with, and you can't deal with it from a relational standpoint in other places like friends, family, cut it off. Or as far as really, you can cut your parent off too. You can. Especially if you're an adult and they're not honoring your boundaries. But I think that a lot of people don't know how to do that. They feel like, and we're taught, oh, well, that's my daddy. That's just how I just got to deal with it. No, you don't. No, you don't. No one's going to win that battle with me. I will get on the highest mountain on this earth and say, no, you don't. So keep that in mind. All right, now let's move into good segment. I challenge that. Okay. So what am I challenging? Well, obviously, listening to your parents, dummies. And are there times you should listen to your parents, even at your big age? Yes. Let's give some examples. When it comes to love, they didn't been in and out of love, some more than others. Papa might have been a Rolling Stone. Once upon a time, not long ago, Mama could have been a hoe. I don't know. I mean, everybody got a pass. Just because you have one don't mean you still live there. But everybody done some stuff. I feel bad for the people who like parents was whole. You know what I'm thankful for? I'm happy like my parents don't have like no OnlyFans because it's people's parents who be having OnlyFans. And I'd be like, that's crazy because it was like they're gonna have to grow up and deal with that and know that their parents are like doing porn. Even if it's just feet porn, it's still just you, yeah, that's not weird to nobody. You know, I'm not trying to be judgy. I'm just thankful. I'll just say that. Thank you, the parents, for not doing OnlyFans. Thank you for not even knowing how to work it. Because they be acting slow when technology come around. And I'll be like, all right. So what's another example? Um, how to buy a house or a car. They probably have bought those things. They know which ways to go about it. When to cut someone off. Now, let me say this. I am not the cut off people quick. People think that I do, but what people fail to realize is it was a process. It wasn't no I woke up and said you gotta go today. You know, it might have been the final straw, but I observe people for a long time and I give them chances. I really do. People don't believe me, but I do. Anyway, watch this. Parents be knowing who not your friend. There's been plenty of times I didn't hear my mama say, like, I don't know about that one. She was right. Now, I do think parents be exaggerating when they always think somebody hating on their child because everybody not hating on the child. But when it comes to like, that ain't your friend or stay away from that person, they know what they talking about. I'll give them that. Life skills. Parents can teach you practical stuff like cooking, cleaning, laundry, you know, basic home maintenance and other essential life skills needed for independent living. So I definitely can say that. Career guidance. You know, parents can offer insight on different career paths, provide guidance, you know, on educational choices and share their own experiences in the workforce. You know, me doing education all these years, both my parents did education. They knew what to do, what not to do, what's expected. So, you know, definitely that. Financial management. I'm actually about to start reading Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to be talking about it throughout my podcast this season, just my takes on it, and be prepared for that. I haven't read it yet. Parents can teach budgeting skills, explain the importance of saving and investing, and provide advice on managing and debts and expenses. Hell, sometimes you can learn what not to do from their mistakes. I think a lot of times that's the goal because you can learn, like, yeah, that ain't work for you. Because my favorite line to ask people, I don't care who you are, I'll be like, is that working? Oh, people get so mad when I ask that question because I'd be like, clearly what you're doing ain't working. So somebody got to ask you, you know, and really, and it's honestly a way to self-assess. Because if I'm doing something, like, I always take it to this place, but I'm going to take it. If I'm going to the gym every week, I'm not losing no weight. After the third week, if the weight's still the same, I'm going to say, okay, something I'm doing ain't right. And that's when I have to readjust because clearly what I'm doing ain't working. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with readjusting and fixing some things. Okay, y'all. So now let's move into the weekly sabbatical. So now watch this. With today, I am gonna start off with a question for myself, and it could have been answered during QTNA, but I'm gonna answer it now. I ask it and answer it now. And it's, have I ever sought validation and gone into a place of anger because I didn't see the vision? Absolutely. You know, I'm thankful that when I started the podcast, they saw the vision for that. But it's some stuff I haven't told them that I have coming up or that I have planned that I know if I told them they wouldn't see the vision. And you know from experience with telling certain things and certain reactions, and I can't afford nobody to talk me out of stuff. Because listen, watch this. It's like when you get them your God-given vision and it falls on deaf ears. But what you also have to understand, which I think I'm leading into now with this in this segment, your parents aren't your spouse. I remember growing up in church, and I might actually looking for that book. The church I used to go to with my mom growing up. It was a book in a bookstore called Your Wife Is Not Your Mama. Never read it, but I thought the title was interesting and it stuck out to me even now in my old almost 30-year-old age. You know, in Genesis 12:1, it says, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. Key phrase, showing you, not y'all. So even with two things, let's unpack both those things in one. So the first thing about the whole spouse thing, your parents, not your spouse. The only person you got to check in with about what you're doing in your decisions for real is the person that you marry. Your parent, you did not marry them. After a while, as the Bible say, you even have to get out of that country, get out of that land to where God himself is going to show you. Again, he showed you, not them. Everybody's not supposed to see the vision. So even take this parents out the equation. I need y'all to get over people not seeing your vision. I need you to stop being fearful or scared that people gonna try to criticize what you're doing. You know how many times I did some people like, well, why not do this? Shut up. That's why I don't listen to them people. That's why I don't tell them nothing. People say I'm secretive, so what? They're gonna find something to talk about. You know, you can't please everybody. And that's the problem with this. A lot of you people. Y'all people pleasers. Y'all want to make everybody happy. You cannot make everybody happy. So now let's move into some ways you can go about making yourself happy and not seeking parental validation. And you can take this to any other relationship too, but definitely the target to this episode this week is parents validation. So the first one is build your own support system. Seek out mentors, peers, or professional networks that can provide guidance, okay? And support outside of your family. A study from the Society for Human Resource Management found that 25% of millennials report having a mentor. Those who do are more likely satisfied with their careers. I agree, because at the end of the day, every job, we look at the story with Jericho, you know, every job, you know, ain't gonna have expertise on. You may follow in your family footsteps, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you may want to be outside the box. I got a friend who's his whole family is teachers. He refused to go into education. He said, I don't want to do what they do. I don't judge it. I don't blame you. Do you? The second one, which I briefly mentioned earlier, but I got statistics to go with it, set boundaries. Establish clear boundaries with your parents about the types of input and advice you want from them. According to a study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family, setting boundaries can lead to healthy relationships between parents and adult children. Now, you're going to always be their child. That's just how it goes. But you can tell somebody like, look, I understand you worried and fearful for my future, but keep that over there. I don't need it over here. I'm already going through enough. And you can respectfully let them know, like, look, I'm gonna limit my time talking to you because you're not making stuff better. You actually adding more unnecessary stress. So keep that in mind too, and don't let nobody bully you. Don't let nobody, but especially on this belligerent boy summer. All right, corny though. The third one is practicing self-reflection. Spend time reflecting on your values, interests, and goals and make decisions that align with them. Research from the Pew Research Center shows that millennials prioritize individuality and self-expression in their personal lives. I think that's great. And individuality is something that's on the rise. You know, it's a war going on, physical one and spiritual one. I ain't getting into that today. If you know, you know. And it's going to be a rise of many individuals and a lot of individuality for two different kingdoms. I'll leave it like that. And I think that is interesting to see what is about to happen. But, you know, that's the trend now. The trend is being weird and different. And sometimes your parents see you as that eccentric individual and they fearful because they know they're going to talk about my child and I don't want that to happen. But you can't stop it. You can't stop the rain. You can't stop the rain. I wish I was into the power shows, and maybe y'all can get me into them. I need to try them again. I heard this. I mean, they great stuff. I can tell, but I just feel like I'm too late, and I'm trying to get lost in the sauce. But I mean, it's summertime now, so I might have time. As always, seek professional advice. Consider seeking advice from a licensed professional, such as a therapist or career counselor, who can provide unbiased guidance. A survey from the American Psychological Association found that millennials are more likely than older generations to seek mental health treatment, which is always good to do and good to see, because again, your parents are just people. And in some cases, they bring a lot of the fear on you, and you need somebody to unroot and unplug that or help to on the process so that you don't get stuck. Fifth one, embrace failure. Accept that making mistakes and experiencing failure is a natural part of the learning process. According to research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, millennials are more likely to view failure as an opportunity for growth than previous generations. When older people, I feel like fail, they just like hang it up. You know, I even got a compliment from somebody that was just like, you know, I'm happy to see you do this podcast stuff and wasn't making no money from it like that as long as you did. Yeah, because I knew what I heard. I know what I heard. I know what I heard. And I know what was sold to me to do. And, you know, in a crazy way, God has a way of telling me stuff before about happening before it happens. And I know I heard right. And so I'm gonna keep on the pathway. I'm making some money now, but until it's just that moment where it's just like it's up. It's up. And you know, it is what it is. But I will say, like, it's like if you fail at something, I feel like a lot of that generation is just kind of like, well, you need to go into something else. But see, that's why y'all never prospered in nothing. One of the definitions of the week, prosper, because you couldn't wait. You just had to move. You couldn't take a break. You couldn't just reassess. You just said, nope, it ain't work, go to something else. No, that's some little kid stuff. The next one is focus on your own happiness. Remember that your own happiness and fulfillment are ultimately more important than seeking approval from your parents. A study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies found that millennials prioritize happiness over material success. I agree wholeheartedly. That's very much true. I do. I'd take off work and miss $500 off my check than be up there miserable. I can't do it. I can't do it. But some people that can. So that's on them. That's on them. The seventh one said it all sprinkled throughout the episode, and but give the people grace. Give the people grace. Although you may feel like they don't deserve it, although you feel like they're trying to talk you out of your love and your passion, give them grace because they don't know no better. I mean, they don't know no better. So just give them grace for that, and just relax. Do what you know you're supposed to be doing. I think that a lot of times people they looking for that validation because they don't feel validated within themselves. So they need constant approval. And I don't. It's the time I did, but I don't need approval. Either you approve it or you don't. I'm still gonna do it. I think especially when you're dating somebody, I want them to like them, but it's like some people grow on them. But in the same breath, parents do be seeing stuff that you don't see. So, and then I'm a firm believer of like, especially when it comes to dating somebody, if your whole family and friends don't like this person, you may be on to something. Think about it. But you got that one family that don't like nobody. It is what it is. All right, y'all, let's move into the question and challenge for the week. So, do your parents support your dreams and goals? Do they? Tell me you do if they do. Remember, you win money. Y'all get some money. So again, with this one, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put it to where because I'm really pushing it later in May. So now we're gonna put May and June together. So basically, you have 6 chances to win either $10, $15, or $25 via Cash App PSA the brand. All right. That's all I got this week. That's all I got. Next week is gonna be a good one. And I got a haircut. Good for me. I have nothing else to say. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I want to say about the situation? Give your parents grace. Understand that they just people. But in the same breath, like I said, we're just people. Give them a right and wrong count on. And if they didn't really right a million times, maybe you need to listen. They've been wrong a lot of times. You should just go the other way. Because clearly they don't know what they're talking about. Most old people just be talking anyway, So it is what it is. But I'm not taking advice from nobody how to get rich or you ain't rich. Because I will ask a parent, like, well, not my sister. I'm just saying I would ask a parent if I was you, if they trying to give me tips on how to be rich and they financially struggle, I'm gonna say, well, are you doing that? I'll be the one that asks that. Are you doing that? Is that working for you? I told you people get pissed when I ask, does that work? Is that working? I mean, it's kind of sarcastic. I mean, it's very kind of, but sometimes I'm asking like, well, is that working for you? Because you giving me all these tips and tricks, but I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But for real, that's enough of my rant today. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are and make your mind up. Don't let it make you.